And welcome back to the newest episode of Two Coaches, One Grizz. It is a packed itinerary for us today. Okay, we got some college football chaos, NFL parity across the board in the AFC. College basketball, number one goes down. We got a lot more to speak about, gentlemen. How we doing tonight?
Fantastic. Can't wait. Excited. So many things to talk about.
There's a plethora of goodness today, sir. Let's get on.
Let's jump right into it. As Coach Gil likes to say, sleepless in Seattle last night. The Seattle Seahawks dropped it against the Washington Redskins. Pulled it out last minute. Washington did. Oh, did I say Redskins? Sorry. The Washington football team. I pulled a Troy Aikman.
Just step up, bro. That's the Redskins. They're the Redskins.
17-15.
And they were winning the whole night. They were ahead. They gave up a blocked extra point for a 2-point conversion to tie. They dominated the whole game. Wilson looks horrible.
Yeah, listen,
that finger's killing him.
The injury was worse than everybody expected. They tried to downplay with that little special that they had a couple weeks ago on Sunday Countdown. I mean, listen, you tore a ligament, you broke a bone, a tendon was ruptured, and you had a pin in there that was taken out 5 days before the game. I mean, listen, I don't care. I know that he's the leader of the team, and that's your guy, but he's not right. He's not right.
He played better than he did the first couple games that he came back, but regardless of how his finger's doing, what happened to Metcalf? Why didn't they target him until 3 minutes left in the game?
Well, that's 2 games in a row.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
That's 2 games in a row now, or 3. He's not getting targets. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand
why. Give it to one of your best players. What's wrong?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little puzzling. I know it's football and you want to go with your dude, but that's your throwing hand, my guy. And again, for those who know football, but that ball comes off of that's where it spins off of. But that's the last contact point.
Didn't look too bad on the last drive. He made some really good throws on the last drive.
No, I get it. I don't know, maybe because on the last drive, these guys are playing more prevent. They're playing softer on the edges. He doesn't have to, the tighter windows. But he missed a bunch of throws.
He did miss a bunch of throws.
He's just not there.
Still take him over Geno Smith.
No.
A lot of it to me was now or never for Seattle last night. Like if it was a time that they needed to go on a run, it was last night. But I think that the door's shut on playoffs for them this season. What do you think?
They would have been 4-7 with a win, which everybody in the NFC, the last 8 people battling for spot number 7's all either 5 and 6 is your 7th spot right now with the Redskins. So even technically they're 2 games behind with 8 other teams. But yes, they needed the win yesterday. It's pretty much locked.
Yeah, I mean, and in all honesty, and that's something that they got to think about. And listen, we went through it here a million years ago, okay? When Jimmy Johnson was the head coach, he was ready to move on off Marino, okay? The fans, the front office was not ready to make a move. Sometimes it comes a time where you've got to move on from the guy to be able to shore up other parts and to move forward. The guy couldn't go play somewhere else. It happened in San Francisco with Montana. It's happened.
He's still young enough that I would still give him time. I just think the amount on his contract has killed the team. That's why they weren't able to keep some of their best defensive players. But I think he's still young enough that you could win with him if you had the players around him.
And the players that they kept on defense got old.
Right. But Marino and Montana were already on the age of the, over the cliff type.
Correct. But
it was a different NFL at that day and age where it was a lot more physical on the quarterback. So their careers weren't as long. So there was a lot more wear and tear on them.
But
whereas now you got 40-year-old quarterbacks.
But he still takes a bit of wear and tear.
Well, the offensive line has
not been right.
Again, they can't afford to get the right pieces around him. So it gets to a point, like I said, that, you've got to move on because now you're going to bring in a new head coach if you get rid of Carroll, and he's going to have to be strapped on with that. So, like I said, it gets past that. It gets past into money and other situations, not just the player himself.
He wanted to leave before the season was here anyway. He was already looking to get himself out. So I think they'll probably come to a mutual agreement. They'll send him somewhere he's happy. They'll get out of that contract. Then you got to draft someone young, and yeah, I don't know. Have you heard Carroll's on the outs?
Well, the thing is that those two guys have been. I mean, there's friction there.
Right, but if you get rid of Wilson,
but that's why I said there's friction on. So it's either get rid of Wilson or get rid of Carroll.
I think Wilson, because once again, I think he wants to go. Send them somewhere, like hopefully they could get a draft pick for him or whatever. But I think you get rid of him. Carroll,
you could get a couple of draft picks.
I would still think he's worth, but that's the thing. He's still worth a couple draft
picks. But that's what I said with
Marino.
Marino at that time was still worth a couple draft picks. He was still it was a name, man. Listen, the name was out there. People wanted him, and nobody wanted to pick him up.
I honestly think that, sooner or later, it was inevitable that they move on from Pete Carroll. Like the team complexion and them believing in him has never been the same after the Super Bowl faux pas that he had.
Yes, I think Super Bowl faux pas cost me money.
Cost a lot of people.
I apologize.
Just give it to the beast. Beast mode. Beast mode was on fire.
Just feed him. But I think they move on from Carroll before they give up on Russell Wilson.
So again, we're rebuilding.
All right, moving down the West Coast. All right, we're having some issues down in LA. The Chargers are currently 6-5. The Rams are 7-4. I'm just my initial analysis. The Rams are soft on defense. They are a soft defense. They want no smoke. So I mean, like they're
to live and die in LA.
There it is.
It's just weird. The more people they add to the team, the worse they get. It's just strange.
And again, I don't know. Again, we're in a position where by adding these guys, the scheme is not what it was. Donald is not dominating. Donald had nobody around him, and he was destroying people. Now, all of a sudden, they've added a couple more pieces. And, are they running the wrong coverage? Should they be more man? Are they playing too much zone?
But that's the thing. The way that team was built, they were a man defense. It was locked down on the edges and let the horses up front go get them. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what the situation is there. It looks like they're of a completely different mindset on defense from the first 4 or 5 weeks. No, I should say.
Again, like I said, the corners are not shutting people down. And again, I know they came off of Aaron Rodgers this week and what have you, but again, they haven't looked good for 3 weeks.
They haven't looked good for 3 weeks. They're slipping down the the totem pole there of the NFC hierarchy. But you know what the doctor ordered? Nice little Jacksonville Jaguars to come in. If they can't get past the Jags this week, we are in some serious problems. But I think they should be able to get off the 3-game snide and hopefully, because I'm really a fan of the Rams. I want them, to go deep, but Matt Stafford, man, it's not looking good.
I heard he's hurt. I mean, he's got a bunch of injuries that have not been really brought to light.
As of right now, I mean, they're still in the playoffs. They're 7-4.
Right.
They
can get well better.
That's a guy that's 3 years older than Russell Wilson. You know what I'm saying? Like he was already on the end of his career, I think, and he was looking good at the beginning, but I think it's going to catch up.
Well, I mean, like I said, supposedly he's got some hip issues.
Oh, yeah, and that's no bueno.
And also I think he's got arm issues. Something's going on with the arm as well.
Who's their backup?
Nobody that any of us know.
Exactly.
Moving right along. Packers peaking. They look damn good, huh?
Wait. But you got to back up the truck a little bit. The Chargers.
We only spoke half of the LA.
We haven't gone to the other side of LA.
They're the forgotten team. They're the team that gets booed anyway.
But wait a minute. That's another team whose defense has also gone missing. That's another guy. When Bosa was there, what was it, last year? Bosa was like, oh my God, 2 years ago, the sack master and all that. What happened? He's playing like his father.
Oh, wow.
He's playing like his old man. I mean,
dropping bombs right now.
That's how it is. What do you want me to tell you? I'm getting reverberations of Dolphin stuff here. I mean, I can't handle this. This is ridiculous.
I mean, I don't even know what to say there. Like 6-5, they started off on a tear there. Herbert was having a career year. I mean, obviously it's only his second year, but yeah, their defense.
Well, I mean, the offense is still putting points on the board, but the defense is a sieve.
They can't stop it.
The defense can't stop anything. It's like caca through a goose.
Teddy Bridgewater, man.
I mean, it's ridiculous. They can't stop a soul. They just cannot stop anybody. They're giving up 30 points a pop.
Listen, that LA life gets to you. It's like that Miami flu. It's the LA flu.
I mean, last week they made Big Ben look like he had just come out of Miami of Ohio.
Remember,
you know, I mean,
remember they're still not. They're not 100% loved yet in LA. The Chargers.
By the way, this just in from our crack stat crew over here. John Wolford.
Yes, he's the backup quarterback to our boy over in the Rams. Yes, yes.
John?
Yes, he stepped in a couple times last year. If I'm not mistaken, he had a victory.
Yes, he did.
He had a victory with when golf went down.
Oh, forget about it. Put him in right now. Let's go.
But yeah, man, they're averaging. Listen, they're giving up 28 points a game. I mean, since the Ravens game, the Browns game. Against the Browns, they gave up 42. Against the Ravens, they gave up 34. They gave up 27 to the Patriots. They gave up 24 to the Eagles. 27 to the Vikings. 37 to the Steelers. 28 to the Broncos. I mean,
can we patch the defensive coordinator and see what the hell he's doing there? Because
maybe both teams should just get together, come up with one defense, and just play. You know,
I'm saying. They play in the same
stadium. You might as well just share the field.
My God.
But defensively, the Chargers are gone.
Now, segue. Right, the team that hasn't missed a step and actually has gotten better since injuries on defense has been the Packers. Right, they're missing Jair Alexander and a couple other DBs on that defensive front, and they look elite. They've gotten better as the season has gone on. Like that is a team that is playing within the scheme and their capabilities on defense. Now, it also helps that you have arguably the most talented quarterback in NFL history.
The most ballsy.
Even with a fractured toe, the guy's still out there. It's crazy.
The COVID toe. He doesn't care about COVID.
Toe. What a ridiculous story.
He's on the Joe Rogan remedies. He cares nothing about COVID. He is on, and again, it doesn't matter whether he's got Devontae, doesn't have Devontae, Aaron Jones, doesn't. He just keeps slinging it, finding somebody and moving.
Yeah, Packers 36-28 over the Rams this past weekend. I mean, it was a little bit of a shootout, but I mean,
but they were in control the whole game. It was never close. They scored at the end. At the end, they scored at the end to make it close, but
only the bettors were worried.
Trying to give Stafford some.
Right now, they can't get any. I mean, a few weeks ago we talked about them and we kept them in the contenders situation, and they were still contenders.
This is fact.
Right now, they're starting to trend. Both those LA teams are starting to trend as pretenders as we're turning that corner. You know, we're getting into that time of the season.
Stretch.
We're getting into December, boys. We're getting into December.
And if you look at it, the Rams' running game has steadily declined over the season too. I mean, Henderson looked great at the beginning of the season, and it's just downhill from there in the last 3 or 4 games. Well, so that might also be like. But again, Stafford's an older dude.
They're playing catch up. You know, and to me, that's part of the situation.
Right.
You know, I mean, even Mahomes playing catch up. All of a sudden, you know, things
changes the complexion
exactly. You know, you can't be as balanced, and the defense can hone in on your passing.
Bottom line is, you need a big time defense and you need a running game. And the teams that have been finding their running games lately are the ones that are starting to pull away.
To step it in.
We're gonna flip it over to the AFC right now. New England, Baltimore, Tennessee, and Kansas City. They're 8-4, 8-3, 8-4, and 7-4 respectively. They're all looking pretty good. I dare to say, you know, Lamar Jackson putting the team on his back as an elite quarterback should.
Well, just because an elite quarterback should doesn't mean that he is an elite quarterback.
Just saying.
I think we've had that discussion off air.
That was a very highly volatile conversation before we got on.
He is not an elite quarterback.
I don't think he's elite, but he's stepping on the door, and he only got better. Even though he has an MVP under his belt, he just needs to become a better passer.
Most wins in the first 4 seasons in NFL history.
That's cool.
it.
But that carries a lot with it. It really does carry a lot with it.
They are the best running
on their defense.
They're the best running team.
Okay, this season again, you can't say you can't put anything on their defense this season because they have not been terrible, and they've come back and they've started to play much better defense.
If you look at Juan Andy on stats, they're number 9 apparently, but they're between 22 and 25 depending on what statistical model you look at. That's in the bottom. That's in the bottom tier of the NFL. defensively.
Listen, I still take that guy in a heartbeat.
That's all I want to hear.
Take him in a heartbeat.
That's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear.
He's not top 5 right now.
Give me your top 5, Mario. Mr.
Top
Grizz.
5 off the top. I mean, Rodgers, Brady. We have Mahomes. We have. It's not that easy to do it off the top of the head. I take Josh Allen over him.
They're 9. They're 9 in points allowed.
Josh Allen's
9 points allowed.
9.
Allen's a
Number
great
9
runner.
in points allowed.
Points allowed.
Points allowed. They're number 9. And at the end of the day,
Yards per game.
And that doesn't matter. The yards per game don't win games.
You're screaming.
Again, yards per game do not win games. I mean, let's be serious now.
You're screaming.
Okay, but it doesn't matter.
So, getting back to a little bit serious talking with the AFC, who do you think's top dog there? I mean, you think Kansas City is getting back into, their normal operation there, or I mean, New England looks very good.
Let me tell you what concerns me more than anything else is Foxborough in the winter.
Foxborough
And at 8-4, at 8-4, they're looking really, really solid.
6-game winning streak.
And they don't have a very difficult schedule to finish the season. Okay? They got to play the Bills this week.
They're going to get blown out by the Bills this week.
Okay.
Wow. Listen,
take.
that's 2 weeks in a row you're coming in with the white hot take.
They're playing at the Colts, which is okay. They're a decent team. They play the Bills again, and they finish out with the Jaguars and here in Miami.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
sadly, Brady's not there anymore. Brady used to suck here in Miami. He's not there anymore, so we'll have to see what happened to Mac Jones.
Well, Miami's pretty hot right now.
So,
4-game winning streak for Miami.
They got the 2 New York teams coming up next.
Shameless plug. By
Might
the
I
Grizz.
say 7-7 maybe?
they have a good shot at that.
And that, not for nothing, puts you in the hunt.
It does. It definitely does. But again, I just, I don't trust them. Don't trust the Dolphins in that situation.
No, I don't trust them either. I'm trying to hype them up so I can wait till they fall.
I think if there's a surprise, it is in the AFC playoffs. I think the Bengals are a dark horse there, to be honest with you.
What year is the Bengals quarterback in?
Year
2.
Okay.
Coming off an ACL.
What is Bill Belichick's record against first and second year quarterbacks?
A lot to alert.
Very good.
Okay. And that's all. I just wanted to touch up on
No,
that.
Cincinnati plays at New England. It's not going to be pretty for
Just wanted to
Cincinnati.
touch
I'm not saying
No.
New England per se.
I'm not
sir.
saying you were, sir. I was just throwing that out there,
But I do see, again, depending, we don't know what the final seeding is going to be, but I could see a Bengals shocking the Chiefs in the playoffs if it gets to that. All right, listen, you heard it here first.
You did.
He'll have to play
We're
in the
gonna replay
loudest.
that.
He'll have to play in the loudest stadium in the NFL.
We don't know yet.
Chiefs are only going to get
There's
better.
still a lot of football left.
Chiefs
to
are
be
only going to get better. They're still my pick to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I think that wraps up our NFL coverage for the week. We'll be back with some chaos. We're going to talk about some college football, and honestly, I have no idea where to start. This is
Chaos.
ridiculous. I mean, let's just go down. I'm just going to quick list of the big names over here that are changing schools. Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Rhett Lashley, Sonny Dykes, Florida letting go of Mullen and hiring Bill Napier. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on. However, and to give credit to Coach over here, he said this before we started taping. He, emphatically said that he would have never seen Brian Kelly leaving Notre Dame to go to, of all places, LSU. So I think we start there because I think that does have implications for other schools as well in the top in the top 4.
I mean, it's not often that you see a team that's right on the precipice of going into the playoffs.
On the cusp.
Okay, of going into the
maneuvering.
playoffs. Right on the outside looking in, waiting for anybody to stumble, okay, to get into the playoffs. They've been in the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years. It's a storied program.
Yep.
It's Notre Dame.
Yep.
People leave to go to Notre Dame.
Right.
This is the first coach.
First time.
The first coach in the history of Notre Dame to leave the program on his own to go somewhere else. That's unheard of.
I don't.
So,
I'm struggling.
yes,
I'm struggling
out of my list of coaches that I wrote down, okay, from the ACC, from the Independents, from all these different guys. No, Brian Kelly was nowhere on my list. There was no idea, no inkling, nothing.
He pulled a Nick Saban last week. He says, I'm not going nowhere. Why would I leave unless, like Mike Tomlin said, you write me a magical check and then my wife is going to have to tell me about it. I personally think it's a great move because he realized I maxed out at Notre Dame. 2 out of 3, and 9 years ago he went and played for the national championship, blown out all the time.
But Grizz.
You're not going to get past, LSU, he's going to get talent now. He's going to get, I think it's the best move.
I mean, I don't agree just because, number one, he has the TV presence that it takes to be in the conversation.
That was good 20 years ago. Everybody's on TV now. LSU's going to be on TV every week.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they will.
Yes and no.
I don't.
But you'll find them anywhere. What I'm saying is everybody's on TV now.
But what I'm trying to say though is that you're not a regular independent. You are at a place that commands TV like an SEC channel. Okay, they have notoriety all over the country. They're well known everywhere. Okay,
they
have players. They have players that go. But why max out? I don't understand by max out. It's not like he's won 4 straight national championships.
They are a nationally recognized team. They probably do have the largest overall fan base, I would say, in college football. But I think people are hung up on what once was. They do not pull the top tier athletes anymore.
It's not that. And they have high standards for academics.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's a mixture of things.
Okay.
They everybody's on TV like what Grizz said. It's cold and Notre Dame, man.
You want to throw the grades, you want to throw the academics in there, I'll grant you the academics.
You have to be a student athlete there.
I'll grant you the academics. But again, the best O-linemen over the last 7 years have been coming from Notre Dame. Okay? You've got some great tight ends coming out of Notre Dame.
Do you consider him a good recruiter?
I think he's done a good job. I think he's done a solid job.
What he's done for Notre Dame, you don't think he's going to be able to bring that to LSU and even better? Because you don't have the academic restrictions. 3 different coaches have won national titles since 2003 in LSU. I just think when I say maxed out, he realized, I can always get them 5 straight 10-win seasons. I can get them to the place of maybe getting a college football championship. But when I go play the Alabamas, when I go play these other big teams, they play Clemson. They don't show up. They get manhandled.
And I know that I've already been bashed for calling the SEC a gauntlet. But it's different now.
You know me that I'm not.
It's going to be different.
I just think it's better for them.
Oh, it's going to be different now. It's different because you got to get up every week now.
Yeah, now you have Oklahoma and Texas coming in.
Okay, you have to get. You're going to play Alabama year in and year out. Okay, you got to get up for the game before Alabama. You got to get up for the game after Alabama. You got to get up for Auburn. You have to get up for Florida. You have to get up for a bunch of. It's not the same situation.
But I'm saying if Ed Odron can get you a title in LSU, I believe Brian Kelly will be able to win a national championship.
And I know that everybody downplays Big O.
I know.
Coach O is solid.
I think he's solid.
You
Great recruiter.
He does a great job recruiting.
I think Kelly's better.
I think that he had a great coaching staff.
It was a perfect storm.
Also, Kelly said Notre Dame's the type of place where you don't stay 15, 20 years. You eventually get burnt out. And the guy's been there 12 years, I think. He left in 2009 from Cincinnati, which, remember, he left Cincinnati as an undefeated team.
Correct.
So the guy's not about leaving a team when they're at their high note.
Yeah. He met with the team at 7 o'clock and was off campus by 7:11.
Later, 11 minutes.
Yeah. He was he talked to them for 4 minutes and deuces. But whatever. I mean, again, now that opens the door now to, is our boy Fickle going to move?
I think,
are they going to wait for
I think that's almost. I think it's almost a given. Again, this is conjecture right now.
That was mentioned by the Wizard on our chat the other day, and I got to give him credit for that.
I think it's a good move for them.
And I do think that he there can flourish. I think he'll be tremendous.
He can recruit the whole state of Ohio.
Yeah, he's an Ohio boy.
And I mean, selfishly, I would have liked him to stay at Cincinnati, especially with them potentially moving into a bigger conference in the future.
I would too.
And him just being a consistent thorn in Ohio State's side.
Yeah, I would too. But once again, like Gil said, Notre Dame is still going to be Notre Dame. Still going to attract coaches. And it was one thing, maybe, it's still going to stay for Cincinnati. But when Notre Dame opens up, if they call you, you got to go.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
It's completely different. Now you're at a Power 5.
You're not even
level.
thinking Notre Dame's on the opening schedule.
It's not there. You're at a Power 5 level. Okay. Again, continuing along this whole coaching carousel that we've opened up, Washington picked up the head coach from Fresno State. Okay, they've got the Boer, Kalen DeBoer. Okay,
I think you did a good job there.
Hey, thanks.
Good job. Good job persevering.
Thankfully my accent didn't come out too bad. But he's done a good job at Fresno the last couple of years, and now an old name is starting to come up for Fresno State. Now they're talking about Tedford.
Ooh,
they're talking about Tedford to come back and be the head coach. And they go, he still works there. He still works at Fresno State, so he might step in and take that over. USC all of a sudden becomes a contender with Lincoln Riley.
Huge.
I mean, that's and his boy Rattler is in the transfer portal.
He's probably going there.
And saying that, the quarterback from Fresno State just stepped into the portal today.
Also, didn't Oklahoma just lose like 3 or 4 recruits?
The 3 or 4 of the kids decommitted from Oklahoma. Yeah. Again, the hot name there is Venables. We'll see how far that goes. I thought for a moment that Mark Stoops might get a shot there, but he re-upped with Kentucky. He's sitting pretty again. That's another squad that he wins 8-9 games a year. He's
set for life.
He's set.
You're a winner in Kentucky. Once again, that's making big moves. People want you.
Virginia Tech picked up the DC from Penn State, which is Brent Pry. Again, that's a great hire. That guy's been at Penn State for a few years, and the defense at Penn State is top 5 in the country.
He's been elite.
Top 5 in the country, so that's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens down here at FIU. The James Coley rumors are still flying around.
Still ridiculous to me.
We'll see what happens if maybe a Frank Ponce name gets thrown in there as well. With Napier leaving Louisiana.
Interesting.
With Napier leaving Louisiana, that's another spot that I thought maybe Ponce would be a viable candidate for, because it takes away from App State.
Big time.
And
big time. And he's regarded as a top recruiter.
As a really good exactly.
So
exactly. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks with the few openings that we have left.
I think we're forgetting about some hometown news here. Rhett Lashley dipping out, going to SMU. I think it's a good move for him.
Well, definitely. I mean, he's gonna be a head coach.
Yeah.
He's if I'm not mistaken, he is a Texas guy.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that's gonna be good.
He came
for him.
from SMU before.
Correct.
His name is Rhett Lashley.
Rhett Lashley. So he's going to.
That screams ranch too.
Yeah. That's cowboy hats.
And belt buckles.
Yeah.
Another interesting name that's come up for the job at Akron is Moorhead, the OC,
the Mighty Zips,
the OC from Oregon.
Very interesting. So does that? I mean, try to connect the dots here, right? You play, play a little game here. If that name's coming up, does that mean anything in terms of Cristobal making a move?
I don't know. We supposedly we're looking at here at UM. We're looking at Gino Torretta, which I'm going to go home and do a lot of homework on him tonight to see
as the AD,
as the athletic director. Correct. Thank you, Grizz. To see where exactly that guy's been for the last 20 years.
If you can tell me that he's been a successful entrepreneur or real estate guy or executive for some company, okay, I can
listen.
I can understand it, because at that level, the AD is a figurehead that goes in to close the deals, to get money from the boosters, right? To be a politician of sorts. Okay, he's not doing the ADs at that level aren't doing any work, in terms of compliance or any grunt work in terms of allocating resources. That stuff is handled way down the totem pole. Okay, at that level, ADs are, they're execs, they're figureheads. They come in to close deals. Okay, so I'm not gonna say I don't think it's gonna work, but to your point, Coach, like, what acumen does he have?
My thing is, I want to have someone come in that has some athletic background,
right? No,
of
I get
working in that type of atmosphere. Okay, because again, I know that we're all focused on the football team, and we all want the football team to flourish and to do well and be back in the top, conversations around the country. But we also have a top-notch baseball team that has not been, it's played well, but has not been what we're used to be, right? Going to the World Series and competing every year for World Series. We have our basketball program made some moves early on. Larrañaga's getting older. That needs to also get shored up.
The only reason I'm not saying that it won't work is because, again, at that level, the AD position a lot of times is given to that type of figurehead. You think Pat Hayden at USC, who was a Heisman Trophy winner for them.
How did that work out for them?
But again, I'm just saying Barry Alvarez at Wisconsin, who was there.
Barry coached football. Barry was there for a lot of years.
I understand.
And running the football program, as you well know, you need to know budget. You need to know,
for sure,
fundraising. You need to know a lot of different aspects.
When you're an AD, it starts and ends with the finances, right? If it starts and ends there. Bottom line, it's what is the bottom line for the athletic department, and you need to be able to manage that in terms of what fundraising are you doing. You need to be the point man on that,
and you need to know who the better guys for each, or girls or ladies for each position is going to be. Who are the right candidates that we need to look? Who are the right fits for our program? You get me? Or programs.
Right.
You get me? And that's my contention. My contention is, what experience does Gino bring to the table here? We're talking about, we want to put Miami back on, the proverbial map. Okay? What does he bring to the table that's going to get us there?
I agree with you.
I
am weary of the big name hire,
I'm looking at his post-NFL career. He's worked with Wachovia Securities as a senior financial advisor. He's been a chairman CEO of Touchdown Radio, broadcasting an NCAA Game of the Week on radio. Also an NCAA football expert on Sirius XM. He's been a vice president for GAMCO Asset Management, working with institutional clients nationwide and working out the firm's Palm Beach office. So does he have connections? Has he worked in that type of... Yes. Does that scream, let's make you an AD? I don't think so. Well, but again, I listen, if he becomes the AD, what we can do? Give him a shot, see if he does it.
But, that right there, this is like, okay, so he knows his way around finances. Now, that checks at least one box. Dude knows how to raise some money, right? He was in asset management. Okay, so that's good. Because at the end of the day, you got to know how to handle a hedge fund and some fundraising.
I'm going to throw out a name that I was talking to, someone about the other day, and this gentleman's name was mentioned years ago. Alonzo Heisman.
Yeah.
So
he was in the Browns as
and while you were doing that, I looked him up. He was with the Packers.
Yeah.
Okay. He was with the Browns, and recently he's been with the Seattle Seahawks. So again, why are we not tapping that resource? Why are we not looking at someone like that?
I wanted him
that has experience in.
I do, you know what? And I like that because they were talking about him as director of football operations. That's kind of like a step down for what he's capable of doing. And let's call it what it is. It would be solid to have a black AD down here in Miami to help, that's a perception thing. I mean, it is what it is.
Listen, he's qualified. I could care less if he was orange. Okay? As long as he's qualified, I don't care.
Somewhere Pudge is doing backflips.
Okay?
Shout out.
I don't care. As long as the guy is qualified.
Right, no, 100%.
I'm looking at qualifications. This guy has run the gamut of being in NFL front offices.
Yeah.
He has a clue. Okay? And on top of that, he's networked with some of the bigger people around. This is the guy that this should be the front runner.
Right.
Can we afford him? I don't know if we can afford him. But again,
the thing is too is like to throw his name out as a DFO, having the limited experience that I had, DFO work is grunt work. It's bitch work for lack of a better term. Like you are You are a glorified do boy as a director of football operations. That is a huge step
our
down.
Our director of football operations right now, half the time, isn't even here.
No, I get you. I'm just saying, but for someone like Alonzo Highsmith,
right. Correct. That's not the position for him.
Right.
Especially if that guy is again running and involved in personnel of NFL franchises.
Yeah. Like the DFO, like Alonzo Highsmith ain't sitting there doing travel plans. Like it's just not gonna happen.
Right. Okay.
You know?
Now, could he work on travel plans for a whole athletic department and sit down with each? Yes. But again, that's the name that I would like to hear.
No, 100%. I think we agree there. Moving on, let's talk about the rankings right now, the college football playoff rankings. We got Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Bama 3, Cincy 4. We got the SEC championship game this weekend against Georgia and Bama. That over-under's at 49.5. Both Coach and the Grizz say it's going to be way under. I'm hesitant.
I don't know about way under. I don't know if that's going to be way under. I mean, that to me is going to, some of those games sometimes explode in the second half. So I do know both defenses are going to be well prepared, and they are two good defenses. But again, I think it's going to be that's going to be a great game, and I don't discount or I don't give out Alabama not putting up a hell of a fight. And if it gets anywhere near 7, I'm taking Bama plus 7 all day.
And you said that too, that Saban is like foaming at the mouth right now because this is the first time he's an underdog in 6 or 7 years.
Georgia has 3 games this year that they've allowed double-digit points: 13, 13, and 17.
Yeah, they're averaging 6.6.
It's gonna be under.
So
there you go.
I think that this plays right into Mr. Saban, being an underdog and being able to say, "Hey guys, they're overlooking you. You guys are not important. You guys, everybody's taking you for granted. Georgia's a team. Michigan's a team. Look how they just bounced us over. Look how they just skipped us. See, they're overlooking you. You don't deserve to be here." Listen. How those guys are going to come out.
You got to give it to the dude. He's one hell of a freaking motivator.
He's going to be prepared.
This was the perfect thing for Saban. He couldn't have asked for a better thing than for everybody to look past them, for everybody to say Georgia's the best, for Michigan to leapfrog him. He's salivating. He's like, I haven't been able to talk like this in years. Give it to me.
Dare I say there's a chance that Georgia chokes?
I mean, but choking. That choking is a big word. Playing Alabama and choking don't go together.
If you lose 20-17 to Alabama, there's not a choke. It's a very, very good team beat you.
That's not a choke. Again, you're not playing, Vanderbilt. You're playing the top dog.
A Wake Forest.
Again, you're playing somebody
to steal the Grizz's term. They both, and Coach agreed with this. It's probably gonna be a slobber knocker.
Oh, listen, this weekend's gonna be.
Those are big boys. We're looking at.
Yeah, the other game that's gonna be like that is Michigan and Iowa. That's gonna be another one that's gonna be like under to me, even though it's 43.5.
Don't overlook Oregon and Utah. Ooh. That's the under that we'll discuss later, and it's already gone down half a point.
I think
Oregon's looking for a little revenge.
I think Oregon bounces back and tears them up.
Everybody says that.
I don't think it's a tear, but I think Oregon pulls it off.
I don't know.
But so let's talk about the Big Ten championship game for a minute here, right? We talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? About how Michigan, right? After that high intensity, highly emotional game, Michigan State drops one, right? Because it was a letdown situation. All right, is Michigan potentially in that same boat against Iowa?
I think they're in the same boat as a letdown spot, but I don't think they're going to lose. Iowa doesn't have enough offense to win the game outright. Will they keep it within 10, 11 points? I'm hoping the line keeps going up. You get me? I want more people to jump on Michigan so the line keeps going up. Because as soon as it gets to 11 and a half, that's a great time to take Iowa plus 11 and a half.
Right.
Because it's going to be a defensive battle. Okay? It's a low-scoring game. Okay? It's a conference game. All right? So anytime you get low-scoring conference games, you like to take the underdog.
Right.
You got me? So again, Michigan will win, but I don't think they'll win by 4 touchdowns. Because that win over Ohio State was such an emotional win and a monkey off of your back.
Right.
However, if they do win by 4 touchdowns, then I'm taking them very seriously to maybe pull the whole thing off. Because to me, I think they could beat Georgia. They're the only team I see that has a chance.
And I would like to add to it, and I get goosebumps thinking about it. I was so happy watching that game and watching just Michigan's physical style of dominating football. Wow.
Well, anything that makes Ohio State look terrible.
Like I know I play DB. I'm not a big dude, but that's freaking football right there.
It was great to see them score over 60, 65 points as well, and all those little innuendos. All those little innuendos
we
were
did
so
talk
good.
last week. Michigan,
we had Michigan and the over. That was that it was a great contrarian play.
That was my favorite part of the deep dive because I was in sync with my coach.
So again, like I said, and to me, this game is going to be played very, very. It's going to be a very physical game. They're going to run the ball, okay. And again, Michigan throws the ball better than Iowa does, but Iowa has a very good pass defense.
And just in case my college Ohio buddies are listening, right up your rectum. So what a phenomenal game that was to watch. Let's jump into we got Oklahoma State Baylor in the Big 12. I don't think everybody's.
I mean, that's a pretty big game because if one team drops, Oklahoma State wins, they're in.
Oof.
They're in.
Yeah, listen, this weekend you got to watch. Because if Alabama does if Alabama does lose as is being prognosticated by Las Vegas and by everybody else in the world, okay, they're gonna drop out. That opens a spot, and it hurts. It hurts Notre Dame because I think now Notre Dame is down to 6.
Notre Dame's 6. And
so
they don't play a game.
And that's what hurts.
Yeah.
So now Oklahoma State, as the Grizz said, they're ready to be
game.
Poised to go upward. Now, what happens now if Baylor beats Oklahoma State and Alabama loses? Is
Notre Dame will
Notre Dame and their defensive coordinator going into the playoffs.
I mean, and you might
Kelly's on his way out.
Let's say Fickle does take the Notre Dame job, and Cincinnati goes undefeated, and they have no coach going into.
No, but I don't think. I don't think
Fickle does that. I think Fickle finishes the job out.
Yeah. I think.
A little awkward if you win the national championship and then you leave.
Speaking of segue, the Cincinnati Bearcats, they play Houston this weekend.
Their best game of the year. They're gonna show up.
This is going to... They do have a distinct advantage, though. They do play at home. They're playing in Cincinnati, okay, in Bearcat Stadium.
Not for nothing. This is this is why all this will handle itself. This is basically a quarterfinal game.
Correct.
You win, you keep going. You lose, you're out. That's the way I see it.
Except for Georgia.
Georgia's the only team that loses. Well, yeah.
Drops to 4th.
Even if they get blown out.
They're not going... They get 4th.
Yeah. They get 4th.
Loses, drops to 4. Michigan jumps to 1. What?
Yeah.
Well, once again, it's all semantics.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now let's have the ultimate chaos. Let's have Alabama beat Georgia. Let's have Michigan lose. Let's have Cincinnati lose. Let's have them all lose. Maybe Baylor gets in there.
Can you imagine Brian Kelly?
Maybe Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss sneak in there. What's going on?
Brian Kelly's gonna be so upset if Notre Dame gets into the playoffs.
But it would kind of be poetic
would that
justice.
Be not crazy?
It would be kind of poetic justice for the douchebaggery that he just pulled.
And not Alabama, and Alabama's not in there, and he's just like, I mean, here we are. And he's got and there's a rematch with Cincinnati, and there's a rematch with Cincinnati,
and it would be so lovely to see Notre Dame. That would be the only. And I don't pull for Notre Dame. I don't. And the last thing I want to see is the Knobs, happy and.
I can't say the same. I grew up as a Joe Montana fan, and the Golden Domers were my favorite team back because the Hurricanes. Really
you were a little kid. You didn't know any better.
The Hurricanes didn't exist.
You didn't know any better.
So
the Hurricanes didn't even have the U back then.
Correct.
You're fucking old. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind.
That's why he's the wise one.
He is the wise one.
I don't mind.
That's why he dives deeper than all of us.
In more ways than one.
Oh.
Get him. All right. Hey, look, that was a great conversation. I mean, this weekend is going to be a fun college football weekend to watch. I do foresee some unexpected, things happening.
Nothing goes by the book.
No,
one or two things will happen that will make you go, oh, shit.
It's good stuff there. Well, we'll wait and see, and we'll discuss it next week as always. And we'll be back with some college basketball and the deep dive with Coach Gil. Our last segment of the night on Two Coaches, One Grizz. Coach Gil's forte here with some college basketball and his patented deep dive. Coach, take it away.
Well, I mean, last week we had a little March Madness early. Duke beat the Zags and beat them running away. What a great game by Duke. They controlled the game from beginning to end, and I think the Zags need that. They usually don't do that early on in the season. They usually roll, and then, they always fall short at the end. But I think that was it's a good game to lose early on.
Good little wake up call.
Yeah, it puts them in a good position. They've been playing a lot of good tough games early this season. They've played in a few tournaments. They look like a solid basketball team. They look good. Duke looks really well as well. As we mentioned early on in the podcast, this season, Duke is the only ACC team worthy of any type of run.
It's crazy to say, right?
Yeah. I mean, even Virginia's not looking very strong.
Plus,
like I said, looks terrible.
It's his swan song, so they're going to play hard for him on this last year.
Yeah. But nobody else in the ACC really looks. Like I said, even Louisville is not really moving the way they should be. So we'll see as the weeks go on and see if anybody there gets it together.
If I could interject here, like his last comment just got me thinking. Like, you think Duke keeps the ball rolling after Krzyzewski's out, or do you think that there's a tangible drop off there after he's gone?
I mean, again, I don't know who they're going to bring in to replace him. But if history of the other programs around is a blueprint, most of the programs have dropped down after the legends have stepped away. I mean, except for North Carolina, because they replaced them with another legend.
Right.
Well, they had a few years between that, but even Guthrie took them to a Final Four, I think, after.
So, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, pretty much there's always a little drop-off, especially from someone of that magnitude.
I think they'll probably find someone right off the bench that's right there coaching next to him. Someone that's been there for years that already knows the system. So they're going to keep it in-house, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my first, thought about it, too, that they're probably just going to keep it number 2 on the bench.
And there are a couple of Duke guys out there that are coaches, and they're right. Hurley's one of them, and there's a couple of guys, like I said, there's a couple of Duke guys that are good that are out there. He's got one of his assistants. Yeah, he's still at Arizona State. And there's also one of his assistants on the bench that's also, he's also a worthy candidate. Yes, correct. He's a worthy candidate. So, there won't be an absence of qualified people.
Who's that guy that he coached for Seton Hall and I think Harvard? That was also
yes,
an ex-Duke guy.
Yeah, yes. I can't remember his name, but yes. Again, like I said, there's a bunch of guys out there that'll be qualified contenders to take over.
I believe it'll definitely be someone with Duke ties.
Yeah.
And then maybe down the road, obviously, if it doesn't work out, they'll probably try to find the best coach out there. But I think someone with Duke ties will get it. And if that's the case, they should be able to keep everything moving slow, because that brand Duke is still a big brand.
Jay Williams from ESPN. That was a joke. Bad one. Sorry.
At that.
He's good at what he does right now. Leave him there.
Moving right along, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Gators in basketball. They are definitely a team in the SEC to look at. They've beaten Ohio State. They beat FSU. Their defense is playing very well. Coach White is doing a nice job there at Florida. That's good. I think they finally are getting things together to where they were a few years ago.
Let them have all the basketball success they want. I just like to look in Gomez's eyes.
It's okay, man. Remember, it's not just a one-sport pony,
But it's the one that matters.
Yeah, well, they both matter. They both matter. Also, tonight, Purdue's playing Florida State. It's a good, I thought it was going to be a good test, and Purdue is beating up on them, beating up on everybody. Purdue's got a couple of big guys in the middle. They're looking real solid. They're the leader of the pack in the Big Ten, it seems. Should be interesting to see how far Painter can take them and where they get to this year. And rounding out the names for tonight's cast is Baylor. Baylor's looking really, really, really good.
Is it possible that they're better than last year?
They're right up there, man. They're 7-0. They've beaten Michigan State, Arizona State. I mean, their defense is playing well. They're running up. You know, Drew is doing a great job at that program.
Yeah, listen, and I'm the first one. I would readily admit, like, I don't tune in as much until, you know, March Madness rolls around. But that was impressive last year. And hell, if 7-0, I mean, like it's like they might be better.
No, yeah. And again, the Big 12 has got some good programs in it. You know, with Iowa State, Oklahoma State. They have a few teams that'll, you know, Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas and Texas are 7 and 8 right now.
Right. That'll contend, you know, but Baylor is the cream of the crop in the Big 12.
Very nice. Very nice. Would you like to go deep into your dive right
Let's
now?
go ahead and get into a dive. Last week was not a good dive.
Uh-oh.
Last week was our first.
Minus the Michigan one, though, right?
Did we jump in the shallow end?
Yeah, we did, and we hit our heads straight on the beach.
Oh wow!
I ended up losing Cal at plus 6.5. I took UCLA second half, thankfully to cover, but we lost it here on the podcast. We did win Michigan and the over in the Michigan game. We won Kentucky, which they won outright. It wasn't even close against Louisville. Which again, that was one of the games that I said
right.
I felt really confident about. Miami of Ohio loses in overtime, and the UAB UTEP under wasn't even close. It's disgusting. But going into championship weekend, I do like a couple of overplays and one overplay, one underplay. I like the over in the UTSA Western Kentucky game. It's at 72 right now. I think they're going to score about 90 points. I think that game, they played already once before earlier this season, and UTSA won 52-46. Both teams are they're top 20 or top 25 in pace.
You're a masochist.
Sir, I do what I do. What can I tell you?
That's why we're diving deep, man. This ain't like in the shallow. We're in the deepest of waters.
They're both pass defenses are 80 or worse. And both pass off. Western Kentucky's got the number 1 offense. UTSA's got number 50. But they are balanced. They have a top 40 rushing offense. So again, I think points will be abounding. I am leaning towards UTSA to win that game, but the line is moving towards Western Kentucky. I like Pitt -3 against Wake Forest. I think the Pitt offense can stick with Wake Forest. And I think Narduzzi will do enough on defense to be able to win that game.
He's historically, I mean, he's a great defensive coordinator. Pitt has been strong defensively the past few years.
This year they're more young. Offensive. They're a little more offensive oriented this year. But they do have a good team. They've been playing very well.
I think this game goes over too.
You know, I mean, it could. Again, both offenses are good offenses. You know, Wake Forest hasn't stopped anybody yet. So again, I think that it's gonna get up there. The under, I do like the Oregon-Utah under. I think that's gonna be a war. I think both teams.
Where's that being played?
Give me one second. It's a neutral.
Doesn't it play in San Francisco?
Yeah, I think that's a neutral.
Is that
a neutral site?
Yeah.
It's in California. Neither team.
No, I mean, you know what? I'm sorry. They're gonna play in Las Vegas.
Oh wow, that's
They're
right.
playing in Las Vegas.
That's right. Makes sense. That new stadium. That's a good place to have it.
Yeah, it's gonna be Friday night. In Allegiant Stadium.
If I'm correct, and I think we discussed this a couple weeks back, Oregon does play better away than they do home.
Yes and no, because they got spanked by Utah.
At Utah.
And they lost at Stanford.
The reason I am leaning towards these games is both teams average more than 215 yards on the ground. And anytime that you get two teams that average more than 215 yards on the ground, the under is a good play.
Yeah.
It's a solid play. I'm not gonna lie. I am leaning towards Utah. I think Oregon puts up a good fight, but I think Utah will come out ahead and will win.
But you have said this before. When teams play each other multiple times, they know each other. It's in conference. It's real hard to do that again. What they did. That's why I say I think it's going to be a close game.
Okay, but I think Utah does win in the end. Okay, both defenses are good defenses. The Utah defense is 20th against the pass. You get me? They're 32 against the run. Oregon's 21 against the run. Again, it's gonna be three yards in a cloud of dust.
It's always funny. You're like, Pac-12 physical game. What?
And with these two teams, it just happens to be so. You know, I mean, both teams don't throw the ball well. Again, Pac-12, hard to believe. They're both 70 or worse in passing offense. You know, so again, you know, I do like it. Pace of play, they're again bottom third in the country in plays per game. So the under here works out really well. I'm waiting, as I said earlier on the podcast, I'm waiting for an Alabama 7. I think Alabama 7.
Think it gets there?
You know what? I think Georgia is popular enough where people and the pundits are going to sell it.
Right.
I think that over the next 4 days, ESPN telling everybody how great Georgia is. They've only given up 6.6 points, you know, a game. I think the line will move to 7.
Yeah, it also helps when you have a Georgia Hall of Famer on game day,
you know,
as well.
And I also, and again, I'm going to tend to take Iowa if it gets to 11. Low scoring game. Points will be at a premium.
Man, I can't wait to watch that.
Those two are going to be, you know, and again, it's a full slate of, you know, Saturday,
right.
Friday night, we got 2 good games. Saturday's a whole, you know, slate of them. You know, we'll see how we go from there. Hopefully we can finish conference championship on a good note here on the deep dive. We don't drown this week.
So you and I know you don't give all of your picks, you know, on the show, but overall, your plays throughout the season to this point.
Right now,
where are you?
Last weekend it did hurt me, but I'm still at 55%.
There you go.
Okay,
that's where you need to be.
I'm still over 55%, so I'm still having a winning season. You know, I'm covering the vig and everything. And yeah, I do. What happens is, like I said, like last week, I ended up taking UCLA second half because the line was 6.5, and UCLA was -3, so it was good. If they win by 6, I win and I push. If they blow them out, which they ended up doing, I minimize my loss. Which again, that's something that we need to learn as investors and as gamblers is minimize your losses.
You listening to that, Matos?
You know, whenever you can cover, you cover. You know, and yes, I know it sucks, but if you can find a middle is always great.
Atkins, Pernis.
You know?
All you novices out there.
But
Andion for sure. Which one are we talking about though? Both.
But again, it's been a good season for the first year of me using my algorithm.
And it's only going to get better. You're only going to refine it even more.
I'm very excited about it. I feel good about it.
What do you think on that OK State Baylor game?
Man, again, it's that the Oklahoma State defense is just so good. Mm-hmm. I think the starting quarterback at Baylor is still hurt. I don't think he's going to play.
That's big. You
know, the kid Sanders at Oklahoma State looked really good last week against Oklahoma. Played a really good game. You know, so I'm leaning towards Oklahoma State. You know, I mean, I don't want to lay any points. Again, and the line has been moving towards Baylor. The line has started at 6. It's gone down all the way down to 5, 4.5, 5. Right, you know, it's gone down a point and a half. So people are taking Baylor. You know, again,
I always think because of teams that come off a very emotional win, Oklahoma State has had a lot of years where they lose Bedlam, and winning Bedlam a chance to make it to the college football playoffs. I mean, I'm pulling for them because I want to see new blood in these playoffs. But man, I'm worried about them choking.
Listen, we may be there next season. We may have an 8-team, 12-team playoff. Who knows?
I mean,
it wouldn't be next year. It'll probably be a couple years. They got to settle that out.
I was just gonna say that they you know, just like Michigan, you know, these guys, Oklahoma State is coming off of a very emotional game. They finally, you know, they got
over the hump.
I mean, they've beaten Oklahoma before, but it's only been once every. Yeah. You know, Oklahoma has dominated that rivalry and that game. You know, so for them to win, man, again, it's like, you know, a breath of fresh air for them. They're able to breathe. But then again, now you got to get up for Baylor, you know? So,
I mean, yes, I agree. Because football is a very emotional game, but almost maybe they're playing with some looseness, like they got nothing to lose. Maybe
there's an old saying that says defense travels.
They have a more looser attitude, I think, because being out of the playoff chase, Michigan, I think the one has the most pressure. They had the big win. They jumped all the way to number 2.
Yeah, pressure's on them to finish.
I think it's to finish now. Obviously, there's going to be pressure on Oklahoma State. I see here, but I think just the fact that they play Baylor and you said the quarterback's hurt gives me hope that I think Oklahoma State can pull it off.
Yeah, their defense is just so good. Their defense has been unbelievable.
Yeah, because this is another thing.
And again, in the Big 12,
a Big 12 team, the over/under 46, you would think there's going to be a high-scoring game, and it's looking pretty pretty sloppy.
But Oklahoma State plays tough defense.
Big 12 and defense is an oxymoron.
It's like we were talking about with the Pac-12, and it's all of a sudden.
Well, their first game they beat Baylor at home 24-14, so 38 points right there. The game against Oklahoma last week, 37-33. Bedlam's always a high scoring.
Air raid country.
And again, like you said, Oklahoma and them are always a high scoring game, regardless of the situation. So, no, their defense is solid. Their defense is top 5 in the country. They're really good on defense. They're scary good on defense. And that's why they were picked to beat Oklahoma this year, because of their defense. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
their little brother there for sure. Fellas, I think that rounds out our episode this week. I thought it was a phenomenal episode. We covered a lot of information. It's only getting better from week to week, except for last week. I'll take that one. That's a loss on my part. But as always, listen, share, subscribe. Spread the word. The more listeners we have, this has been extremely fun for us to this point, and I enjoyed a little bit more every week. So, fellas, if you got any...
we're going into the happiest time of the year. It's bowl season coming up.
We're going bowling.
We're going bowling. We've already got a couple bowls already been set up. Okay,
it's good stuff.
Oh yeah,
Oh, man.
Follow us
and
on,
if you know
on
me,
our
the
social
Grizz,
media.
I love my bowls. Love them. I love my bowls packed.
I think we're gonna end it with that.
2 Coaches, 1 Grizz on Twitter and Instagram. Follow us, share, subscribe, spread the word. Have fun with us. Go ahead.
Let's go.
Let's go.